When most people think about becoming a data furnisher, they focus on the exciting parts. They think about reporting their own trade lines, building credit from zero, boosting scores, helping people qualify for approvals, and creating real financial power. But there is a part of the furnisher process that is just as important as the reporting itself. And honestly, this is the part that separates real furnishers from the ones who get denied. And that part is your dispute policy and your e-Oscar response process. This is where the bureaus judge your professionalism more than anything else. And the thing people get wrong is thinking this needs to sound complicated or legalistic. The bureaus are not looking for legal language, they are looking for structure. They want to know that you have a step-by-step process for handling disputes that is clear, consistent, fair, and documented, because once you become a furnisher, you are not just allowed to report data, you are required to respond to disputes, and if you do not handle them correctly, the bureaus can suspend you or remove you completely, so this policy is literally a survival tool. So let us talk about this like we are having a regular conversation, because this is not something you need a lawyer for. This is something you can write in plain English, as long as it clearly shows that you understand your responsibilities. Everything starts with this simple concept. When a consumer disputes an account, you must investigate that dispute, you must verify whether the information you reported is correct, and you must respond to that dispute through e-Oscar or directly to the bureaus within the required time frame, usually around 30 days, when you understand that the rest becomes common sense. Your dispute policy should start by explaining how you receive disputes. This is simple. You say that your business receives disputes through mail, email, or through the bureau system, depending on how they are submitted. If a dispute arrives by physical mail, you acknowledge it and log it. If the dispute arrives through e-Oscar, the system notifies you and you create a record for it. This proves you are organized, that you track disputes rather than letting them float around lost in paperwork. After that, you need to outline your investigation process. This is the heart of your policy, and this is what the bureaus care about most. You want to state clearly that every dispute triggers a full review of the account details you reported. That means checking your internal records, the consumer's original documents, the payment history, and any agreements or data that support the current reporting. This is important because it proves you are not blindly verifying information, you are actually investigating it like a legitimate furnisher would. Your policy should then explain that once the review is complete, you will determine whether the information is accurate or inaccurate. If the information is accurate, you will respond through e-Oscar with the verified code. If the information is inaccurate, you will correct it, update the Metro 2 data, and send the corrected information to the bureaus. This shows fairness and responsibility. You are not locking consumers into bad information, you are correcting mistakes to keep the credit system accurate. Now let us talk about e-Oscar, because this is where people get nervous, but once you understand it, it is simple. e-Oscar is just the online system that furnishers use to respond to disputes. The bureaus send you an ACDV, which stands for Automated Consumer Dispute Verification, and you respond to that ACDV with the results of your investigation. Your policy should state that you will respond to every ACDV within the required time frame, and that you will only verify information that is fully supported by your internal records and documentation. This tells the bureaus you are not guessing or responding blindly, you are matching data to evidence. Then you need a section on documentation. This part matters because if you ever get audited, the bureaus will ask to see your dispute records. So your policy needs to state that you keep copies of all disputes, all responses, all investigation notes, and all documents used to make your verification decision, and that these will be stored securely in your dispute binder or dispute folder for the required number of years. This proves discipline, and discipline is what they want. After that, you should explain your communication policy, meaning how you communicate with the consumer if necessary. Your policy should say that if the dispute was sent directly to you and not through the bureaus, you will notify the consumer that you received their dispute, you will complete the investigation, and you will send them the results within the required time frame. This shows transparency and consumer fairness, which is exactly what the bureaus expect from a real furnisher. Next, you need a section that explains what happens when the consumer is right. Sometimes the data you have might be missing a detail, or maybe an address change was never updated, or maybe a payment was processed late, but the reporting did not reflect it. Your policy should clearly say that if the consumer provides new or updated information during a dispute, your business will update the account and send the corrected file to the bureaus as soon as possible. This proves accuracy, this proves fairness, and it shows the bureaus that you have integrity. Now let us talk about dispute patterns, because this is where most people fail without realizing it. If your company receives repeated disputes about the same issue and you continue sending the same data without updating anything, the bureaus will see that as negligence or even willful non-compliance. Your policy should say that if repeated disputes highlight a recurring error, your company will review its processes and correct the root cause. This tells the bureaus you are proactive, not reactive. Now, why does all this matter? Why does a dispute policy make such a difference? Because this is how the bureaus decide whether they can trust you when they let you into the furnisher ecosystem. If your dispute policy looks messy, unclear, or low effort, they will not believe you can protect consumer rights. If your policy looks clean, structured, and responsible, they will trust you, and trust is what gives you the power to report data. And when you can report data, you can build credit from nothing. You can build credit intentionally. You can build credit for consumers who need a second chance. You can create primary trade lines that lenders respect instead of relying on authorized users or random services that barely move the score. This is the part people need to understand. A dispute policy is not paperwork, it is a credit building weapon, because once you get approved, your ability to respond to disputes correctly protects your furnisher status, and your furnisher status is what gives you the privilege to shape credit files in a way that most people can only dream about. And when you can shape a credit file, you have the power to change financial outcomes for yourself, your family, clients, or anyone you help. Let me connect this to real-world outcomes. Imagine you report a positive trade line and it boosts a score, but later on the bureaus ask you for verification. If you cannot respond correctly, you lose trust and your status can be suspended. But if you have a solid policy and you follow it correctly, you verify it confidently and the account stays on the report, helping someone qualify for loans, cars, funding, or even a mortgage. The dispute policy protects the outcome people want. Your ability to report trade lines is only as strong as your ability to defend them, and that is why this process matters. And here's the most important part. When you handle disputes professionally, the bureaus start to see you as a high-quality furnisher, and the longer you operate without errors, the more weight your data carries and the more consistent your reporting becomes, and the smoother your credit building system runs. This is how you build longevity in the furnisher world, not just approval, but stability. And when you have stability, you have the ability to expand into portfolios, add more accounts, grow your operation, and build a blueprint that most people will never even know exists. So when you sit down to write your dispute policy, remember this: you are not writing a document, you are building a backbone. You are building the part of your business that protects you and elevates you. You are building the structure that makes your reporting legitimate, and this is the part that unlocks the power to create primary trade lines, build credit intentionally, and elevate your financial life in a way most consumers never get to experience because they never learn the back end. This is where your entire furnisher identity begins, and once you write it clearly and confidently, everything else becomes easier.